Compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on May 26, 2017, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement be made a part of the minutes of this meeting. I would ask all to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joanne, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Corson?
Present.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mr. Palumbo?
Here.
Members present.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes, both the open and closed from May 8th?
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Hearing none. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Scott's not able to make it this evening. He's not feeling well. So, Joanne, do you have anything for us from your office?
I do. I just
Okay.
wanted to remind everyone the primary election is next Tuesday, June 6th. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and my clerk's office will be open at those times as well. And also, just for the county, they're having a hard time finding poll workers willing to work. So if anyone's retired or not working, you'd like to be a poll worker, you can contact the County Board of Elections. It's $200 each election.
Okay.
Nice.
You know what, Paul or Ed, can we put that maybe on the UTTV too and on our website and you know, basically ask if anyone's interested? Is there any time cutoff as to when they
It's
can?
too late for this one, but they would be able to go for the general
Okay.
election. It'd be 18
So,
or over.
so I would say, you know what, let's not confuse the issue, so let's not put it on now, let's put it on after the primary, saying that we're looking for individuals interested in serving at the polls, you know, for November.
That's all.
Okay. Dan, do you have anything?
Nothing at this time, but we do have a number of items for closed session, and one of the last items on the agenda for closed session, that item is not going to be dealt with at this meeting. It'll actually get postponed to another meeting if Scott's out.
Okay. Paul?
Thank you. Didn't know if you want me to report, but now I know we have a resolution for the Green Team Advisory Committee, but there was a couple items that we've been discussing at our meeting. So if you wanted to discuss that now or at that point, you have a preference.
Which one are you referring to?
Item number 4, from the Green Team Advisory.
For the green team?
And there's also, they have their annual report as part of that resolution. There's just a couple.
We'll discuss it at the
We'll
agenda.
discuss it then. Okay.
Rather than do it twice.
Gotcha. I've heard back from the consultant that's working on the Sam's Gulf remediation report. He had some good conversations with the DEP, and that there may be some partial grant funding for the cleanup costs. I'm asking, can there be some budgetary numbers of that? But if we look at either using that site for either affordable housing or even open space, there's affordable housing has a 50% grant eligible, and then open space and recreation, we have a 75% grant match to it. So there are some potential funding sources to help us get that ultimately finally cleaned up. So I hope to possibly at the next meeting have some budgetary numbers so we can further discuss what avenue we want to proceed with the DEP possibly for funding on that project.
Okay.
Just want to give you an update on the paving project. We're a little over halfway done on the projects. There's still some areas that we have to go back and do some punch list work on and do that, but there's still like Beasley's Point, two in Petersburg, and I think 1 or 2 more that have to get done.
Any idea, only because when I walk the dogs every evening, they're all coming out asking me when it's gonna happen. They have outlined the streets where the gas lines are and
Right.
water lines and stuff, but,
They're hoping to be able to get back in here. I mean, this week is gonna be, with the rain off and on, it's gonna be difficult for them to get back in, but they're shooting for, mid to late next week to, get back in, and most likely they'll be starting in the Beasley's Point section with those streets,
and then work, south.
work their way south through the rest of the township.
Okay. So at some point, when they do get started, we'll be able to post when we tentatively anticipate them to be at the streets?
As soon as they know when they're ready, as they've been doing with all the projects, either 24 to 48 hours before they start doing the paperwork, they hand out notices to every resident. They'll get flyers in their, either their mailbox or on their door, so that they'll know that they're, to kind of be prepared for that work, keep your cars off the street, and kind of get more information that they're coming within the next 1 to 2 days.
Okay.
While we're on the paving, how about the project Cotwell? Any idea when they're going to be paid that, or?
I talked to Tommy this morning about that. He's got I'll say he's got 80% ready, but here again with the rain, he hasn't been able to get a final compaction and grading to get it fine tuned because of the wetness. It just turns them up. So he's just waiting. He needs 2 days of dry weather so that he can fine tune it. So he knows that we're getting close, and he's got it on his schedule to be ready.
Okay.
Have we heard anything, I apologize if I interrupt you, but have we heard anything more about where we are with the old municipal building, with the, issues that are there?
Yes, we've had the consultant that did the asbestos testing for the township. He's working on putting together a proposal to prepare the bid specifications to have that remediation work done. I hope to have that here at the Township Committee by next meeting so that we can possibly award that next phase. And then I also anticipate meeting with Hobie to look at some architect services to make some recommendations sometime in June to the committee for that. We did receive a check, I believe, from the Historical Society for $10,000 as their share to help pay for the architectural services at their as part of the project.
Don't we have to, no, we should get the asbestos remediated before we.
Well,
It'll be,
I think that's
what
absolutely,
What our game plan is that once we have once we've awarded the design services for the asbestos removal, they'll work on that during the summer to get the best prices for asbestos removal. Because all the schools do all their projects during the summertime, if we tried to bid and do that work during the summer, we would have very high pricing. So, based on their recommendations, we'll probably look at getting that design work done, between June and July, and then put it out to bid for, September, October work, even, into November. That way we'll be having better competitive pricing. And so during that time period while that's out to bid and being worked on, the architect can kind of work on the overall project and come up with their ideas so that when we're done that phase of the asbestos removal, we'll be in a position to know what costs and, final design of the overall project, and then be able to come back to the committee with recommendations on how we should proceed, and which would be in line with submitting for December grant application to the county for potential funding.
so just to reiterate, the committee will receive at least some report anticipating where we're going to move forward with the removal of the asbestos, hopefully by next meeting.
I'm hoping to have proposals to have that recommendation from the consultant of what the consultant costs.
Now, does the consultant do the work, or do we have to put that out to bid?
We have to put that work out to bid. The consultant will prepare the specifications to put that portion out to bid.
Now, there was a number flying around before. Where did the consultant estimate that number?
As far as what the remediation costs
Yeah.
would be? Yes. And a allow that, which is to determine, is it a public bid project or is it a project that, you know, is quotable under our purchasing policy.
Okay. I was just wondering where that number had come from, because it was quite high, and
It was their budgetary, you know, based on their previous experience of seeing projects of similar size and scope, based on the square footage price.
Well, either way, it's, the committee's committed to removing the asbestos now that it's been identified, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
no matter what we do, we have to get that out.
One other thing about the paving. On Stagecoach Road, between Hope Corson and West Catherine, been receiving complaints about the condition of the roadway, that it's got somewhat of a washboard effect on it.
Yeah,
I
that's
drove down it myself and I felt it, so.
I actually went in my wife's car and felt it, and then I went twice with my truck just because it's bad.
I mean, we've got a newly paved road, and, you know, if you could go out there and inspect it and see what has to be done to correct it.
that's on the county portion?
That's
That's
what
our-
So our portion.
That's our
I'll
portion.
get out there with the contractor and have him review it. I'll probably have to, in my off time, or grab a different vehicle to test it, see if I'm in. The ride isn't so good, so I probably won't notice it, the vehicle that I'm currently driving. So I will get out there, meet with the contractor, and review that.
Take the OEM Hummer and try it.
Yes.
I'm sure it drives very smooth.
Doesn't drive smooth at all.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Barbara?
I have nothing this evening.
All right. Mr. Coggins?
Well, from time to time, one of the duties and responsibilities of the finance office is to do some spot checking for compliance. And I've had some conversations with Mrs. Spiegel, and in some of her spot checks, she's found that we need to pay some particular attention to our requisition process. And what I'd like to do is ask Mrs. Spiegel if she would take a minute and go over some of the bullet points of what is required in our requisition process of the various department heads. And we're going to ensure that this process is followed and compliant as we go forward. So if I could ask you to cover that, please.
Sure. First of all, we have not been using the requisition process as we should. So to get in compliance with that, what we're going to start to do is the department would locate the vendor that would fulfill their needs. If the purchase is under if the purchase is over $2,000, they would have to get informal price quotes. They would then take that information and enter it into our purchasing system, into our admin system. And then that process, it would go to the department head for approval. It would then come to my office for a secondary approval, and then to me for a third approval. At that point, then a purchase order would be generated. So we just need to change that slightly, just to make sure that we're in compliance with everything. So we'll be looking to do that within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. One of the things that's happened recently is Mr. Morgan was able to review one of our service contracts for a generator in one of the buildings. And in doing so, found out that the original price quoted seemed to be rather high. He went out, did some additional research, and the net gain to the township on his doing some additional research was about $11,000. So I think he did a real good job on that, and that's kind of one of the things that prompted some of these discussions. That, you know, are we doing our due diligence wherever possible? So that's kind of where this erupted from.
Okay, great. It's good compliance measures. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Hobie?
Just one or two things. First, I was fortunate to attend the Strawberry Festival last week at the Gandy Farm, and weather was great. They had a great turnout there. I think they went through close to 100 cases of strawberries, Ralph, from a big store meeting. They sold out early. Historical Society did a great job on it. I It was, you know, well attended, and everybody I talked to was very happy with the presentation and the music, and the tour that the Gandy House was quite impressive also. So I just wanted, you could take that back to the Historical Society. With the Old Township Hall, one of the things that I spoke to Dennis DeSalvo from the American Legion VFW to see if they would be interested in possibly going hand in hand and doing like a wartime museum if this does take place. And they seem to be very interested in going along to help fill that building and help man that building and staff it. So just something we're going to keep pursuing, see if we can do that. 4th of July celebration. We just had our first meeting on it the other day. Joanne, you should be getting something from Shauna shortly. It will be on the 4th. We're going to open it at 2 o'clock for setup. The fuels will open at 3 o'clock, but the event will actually start around 4. And we'll have music. I have 2 bands booked. They'll be playing from 4 to 9:30. Pony rides again, face painting, petting zoo, possibly carnival games. So we will be having another meeting coming up on that, and I'll make sure that it's advertised. We do need help, and I need volunteers. Seems like we're starting to, a lot of our nonprofit and also our free organizations we have out here are running out of volunteers. And I'm not sure where we're gonna go with it, but it's something we're gonna have to look at if we wanna continue to do events and have different functions in this township. I know in talking about the farmer's market, one of the issues there is lack of volunteers. And there will not be a farmer's market this year because of that. We can't keep expecting 2 or 3 people to do all the work. So it's something we're gonna have to look at down the road if we're gonna make this a viable commodity in this township. We're gonna have to look at some other ways to try to have people setting it up or coordinators for it. But 4th of July is on a Tuesday this year. And rain date will be on the 5th. I talked to Paul about the Caldwell paving. Also, Paul, we talked in bit about crack sealing, especially like in Caldwell Park parking lot. We seal coat it, but we've never done anything with the crack sealing. So basically, the seal coating's doing nothing except for making it look pretty. We've got grass growing up 6-8 inches high in it again. I know that's something now, I guess, for Scott. But again, it's something we have to pursue.
He has looked at some pricing on that
Okay.
to rent a crack sealer.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up to Scott, but I figured I'd go on the record with it anyway. And other than that, we have, I just had an issue again tonight. I had to call the state police at the lacrosse fields again on Tuckahoe Road with people parking on the no parking side. I went down and took a look at it. Both parking lots were completely full, as well as the entire side of the road adjacent to the playing fields was completely full. And there's about 5 cars parked in the no parking side. The program's growing immensely. Lacrosse, we're becoming one of the top sports in the United States now. We're going to have to take a look at something. It's a hazard. You couldn't get an emergency vehicle through there if we had to. So I asked Ed to take a walk with me or something, maybe later on this week, to see if we can come up with some kind of a game plan down there. It's the facility itself functions well as far as the teams and the way everything's set up, but we never foresaw the amount of people we had attending these games and creating this issue. So I think it's something we're going to have to look at liability-wise for the township.
So I did look at, after we had a discussion, I think about a month ago, I did look, there would be sufficient area, I believe, like measure the fields, the slides, we slide all the fields, I'll say, to the east. And then on the parking lot, to that west side, that's towards the Perry Road side, we could probably add another double row of parking.
I think we need about 40 parking spaces somewhere in that area, Paul.
That would be about how many, you might be able to get a little more.
Yeah.
If we added a double row.
All right, well, if we can get together and take a good look at it, because I don't want to see a problem there with a senior citizen. There's quite a few on that road requiring assistance and not being able to get it.
I think there is some space there, but yeah, if we want to meet, looks like there's enough space to slide everything down and that's
Okay.
parking.
Yeah, we had to look into the future on it. Joanne, also, in talking to the trooper, they asked if we could get them a schedule of the lacrosse games. And I know Saturdays are notorious down there, but during the week also, and that they'll put it on their schedule to start sending cars down on a regular basis to at least patrol it and try to put the word out. Okay? That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barr. Okay, as you recall, prior to adoption of the budget, we talked about part-time help for the road department, Public Works. And we directed Scott to advertise and to come up with 2 names. He did present me with 2 names, and I'd like to make a motion to hire the two gentlemen pending their pre-employment testing. The one gentleman's name is James Thielman, and the second one is Michael Warren.
Second.
You need a motion for the hire?
He's got a first and a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
No?
Let's go to the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
And correction on that, that was not just Public Works, but used recreational purposes too.
Township.
If I can get a half,
And-
if I can get half of one, I'll be happy.
One other question, Paul. Can we have an update on the Strathmere boat ramp?
I'm sorry.
That was on my list too.
Mine too, and I forgot it.
The delay in completion of the project has been the planting of the living shoreline plants. They were supposed to be planted 2 weeks ago, but because of the weather in the early part of the spring did not allow the plants to mature so that they could harvest them to plant them. So my understanding is that those plants are going to be coming out this coming week. And then there was miscommunication. I had talked to the contractor because he was waiting to finish up, I'll say that, the turnaround area, that he was going to finish that up while he was doing the planting. I communicated him that if he wasn't going to plant it before the Memorial Day weekend, that he was supposed to get that area cleaned up. So there was a miscommunication between myself and him that work wasn't done before Memorial Day weekend. That work will be done this week.
What are we putting in that parking area?
Stone.
Stone? Okay. So lighting, do we have, did you make arrangements for any type of lighting down there?
I'm waiting to hear back from Lannis, the electric, the initial price that I got from the electrical contractor was very high, to bring in lighting, where it was, bar lighting. So I wanted to find out from Lannis, the electric, what their cost would be to have some spot lighting installed, similar to what we have at the community center. That's Land City site lighting, they do site lighting for that kind of purpose. So I'm waiting to hear back from him on a price to have that light done.
So as of now, the ramp's still not open?
Excuse me?
The ramp's still not usable?
The ramp is usable,
They had caution tape across the last week.
correct, and they were waiting for that. If you remember, we had a subcontractor come in to fill in that areas between the concrete blocks. He was supposed to take it down the following morning, but he got stuck at a job and didn't come and take it down. When he came back to do the second day of area, the lower part, we've had some issues because the tide didn't go out as far as he had anticipated, so it came back in on him and got wet, so he's gonna have to come back one other day there's some area that is starting to peel up because it didn't cure. So he's got to go back in there and take out about a 5x5 area, or whatever he needs to do, and then replace some of that material when he gets a low dead tide.
Well, you know what, though, I tell you, that this is starting to get a little annoying, because we gave that contractor extra time, because he complained that he was worried about winter weather, and we said, okay, because we wanted to get that done in December, okay? So now's the time to use the boat ramp. So this guy better put it, or this contractor better put this as a priority, because I'm starting to get a little annoyed. Because we were cooperative back in December when he was worried about cold weather and everything else. But that was the concern that I believe the committee had at the time, that if we're granting this person some extra time to do this, we want to make sure it's done in the spring. And he hasn't, whoever, they have not fulfilled their obligation at this point. It needs to be open.
Oh, I agree.
It needs to be a priority. And I don't want to hear that the grass is, whatever the planning and everything, they're having, okay?
That's got nothing to do with the.
That excuse is over. We got to get this thing done.
We had decent weather in which he could have had that thing done by Memorial Day.
And just,
And it wasn't done, and you know why?
I'm not trying to give you a
Just
hard
like
time, I'm just
some
saying
other
that
contractors,
this
they have
thing
other
is
jobs.
something we need to stay on top of, because I'm really getting annoyed with this contractor. We gave him the benefit of the doubt, and it was a concern of this committee back in December. I think if you go back and you watch the tape, we were all concerned that, okay, if we're granting this person some extra time, will it be ready? Oh, yeah, it's gonna be ready. Well, it's not.
well, and he did complete his base work in time, but the additional time was the contractor, that's his subcontractor coming in and doing that, because the ramp wasn't performing as I had anticipated with how it was designed, and we awarded a change order to have a subcontractor come in and fill those, you know, the different material to fill in the voids between the cracks. That's where the delay came in his material
Paul,
delivery.
it's still, the parking lot wasn't touched.
Yeah, and I agree,
That didn't have anything to do with the ramp, all right? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt about the design of the ramp, but all that concrete work, all the blacktop, the parking lot, everything should have been done, and it wasn't done. And we cut him, us, and said, we'll extend it. Did we even give him a deadline?
It was supposed to be Memorial Day weekend, was his.
Yeah.
So he didn't meet the deadline. Did we pay him in full for doing the job?
He still has partial payments.
Like how much?
I don't know what the final amount,
Paul, do we have a penalty clause in the contract?
I'd have to look, I'm not sure how.
We
how
should.
The delay penalty clause.
Well, we need to research that because we gotta hold him accountable.
Specs to see, and also whatever we do with the additional work, so that would have to be reviewed. I think the first step is to see if we can put a fire on it to get it done, and if there's any indication of further delay, then you need to get me the file.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not
Tell them
done
to
by-
watch the video as to how the committee
If it's not
feels at
done
this
by- I'll
point.
be honest with you, if it's not done by our next meeting, I'm gonna make a recommendation that we refuse to pay him and get another contractor in there to finish the job.
Yeah, even the concrete work, too, if you went down and walked that, is questionable as far as the quality. I was there the day they were pouring it, and I don't know who ordered the concrete, but they're pouring a 4,000-pound mix with foundation stone for sidewalk. The stone in it was an inch to inch and a half stone, and you can't get a good finish with that. So I don't know who spec'd it or how it was ordered, but it's improper. And, you know, it's not a real pleasing-looking job down there.
Right, so if you need to work in conjunction with Scott, we'll do that, but I'd like to see this committee get a report within the next week as to where it is, okay? I mean, I want an update from this contractor to know where we are,
I wanna
and if
finish
we
by our
have
next
to do something, and if we need Dan to communicate with the individual that represents the contractor, so be it. But, you know, the time is now, and what concerns me is that it's not being addressed because there's other commitments being done before ours. And we wanted it done in the winter when the weather, by the way, was nice in February. It was nice about 3 weeks ago when it was 80 degrees for, you know, like a week straight. I mean, admittedly, the weather's about not been nice this past week or so, but it's not like it's been impossible to do work.
I'll have a report to the committee before the end of the week.
Are we paving the rest of the roadway in Bay? We
I'm
have a
gonna-
new paved section, but
I'm gonna talk to we did, Bayview Drive was, we paid to where the limit of this project was. I'm looking to see how much funds we have left over on the paving project, because Bayview Drive was included as one of the streets in the paving project.
that's
So
in bad shape.
whether I might do just not a final job, because I do wanna raise some elevations and train for grading, but at least to get in there, maybe just do some mill and pave, just to smooth the road, for that next block.
It's really tore up in the trucks. I drove down there, you know, almost vibrated myself out of my expedition going down there, so it's not very conducive to putting the boot down there right now.
All right, let Paul get a report for us, and we'll move from there.
Fired up on.
Why do you always start commenting on this? Curtis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing we do have is, we have a chat with the trooper date, Thursday, June 8th. It's gonna be at the Dunkin' Donuts from 10 a.m. to 11. Basically, you're invited to come speak with the troopers, address your concern, affect you and your communities. The other thing I wanted to touch base on, I wish Scott or Jay Potter was here. We had that gentleman at our last meeting. It had the 911 call. Bottom line is, it did take entirely too long for a rescue squad to get there, but it was not, he was dialed 911 from the cell phone, his wife did. It went to Belle Plaine ambulance. They have the same address we did, but it was in Dennis Township. So a lot of time was lost. Seasoned dispatcher would have probably asked the right questions. It's very important that when people dial 911 with their cell phones, that they, especially if you live on Route 9, Corson Tavern Road, 610, that has same numbers in Dennis Township, you need to tell them it's Upper Township, Petersburg, Seville, wherever you are, Tuckahoe. Tuckahoe has overlap out there.
I think the first thing is to say, I live in Upper Township, and then identify where it is.
Yes.
You need to give your physical.
Because that ultimately was the issue. It was not called from a landline. It was
But-
called from a cell phone, and unfortunately, it was routed, based on where it was.
And the problem arises, these people have an Ocean View post office box with an Ocean View zip code. Same thing in Petersburg, you have a Woodbine address with a Woodbine zip code. At Tuckahoe, you have a Tuckahoe address, or a Woodbine address with a Woodbine zip code. And that's where
The zip code is an issue,
our zip code is an issue.
major.
And it's gonna cost somebody their lives. And it needs to be, years ago, we asked if it could be addressed, and I think we need to put that to the forefront.
We've done it,
Twice in my tenure.
and we've had the Postmaster General refuse to address it.
Congressman.
Well, I think we need to work with our neighboring communities, because it is going to be, it's probably, as big a problem it is here, it's there.
I'm not saying that it's not a problem, I'm just saying we've tried twice before in the federal government, on both occasions said no.
And I think we need to work with our neighboring community, I think we need to work with our assembly people, and I think we need to try to make this, somebody's going to die. I mean, it's just a matter, it's not,
Well,
it's not.
And the reality is that more and more people are getting rid of their phones in their homes and just using cell phones.
Yes.
I happen to be one of those individuals. I
don't
there's
have-
no need to, the only calls I ever got on my home phone was
Telemarketing.
advertisements and stuff, so, but the routing part of it is an issue. And it is absolutely imperative that when you call on your cell phone, you say, I am in Upper Township, and then work from there.
Yes, and I definitely think we need to try to get this to the forefront again with the zip codes and that.
Okay.
Start the process again.
And I think we
And I
need,
think we have examples as to why it makes sense to have one zip code.
I think we need to reach out to our legislators, state, county, local, because it's a countywide issue. I mean, I'm sure Middle Township has the same problem, and I'll give you an example. Courthouse Post Office comes all the way up into South Seaville. If you live in South Seaville and get rural delivery, it comes from courthouse. So I gotta believe there's problems in the other end of the county that we don't even know about. And it's something that should be addressed county-wide. Zip codes should be municipal boundaries, period. Post office, they're antiquated. They're gonna, with email and all, they're gonna be the way of the landline cell phone shortly anyhow. But I mean, it needs to be addressed.
Curtis or Ed, are either of you familiar with, and I'm not, this is why I'm asking the question, how this dispatch system works? Would it be possible for residents to somehow register their cell phone number with their address with the emergency dispatch services?
I don't have a clue.
Are we not?
I know we have it here in the township for Code Red,
Yes.
where if, you have the ability to use either your cell phone or your landline. But I think the issue is that based on where the tower is pinged from the cell phone, and I'm not I don't in any way,
That's why I wish Scott or
like to
or
say that
Jay
I'm an
Potter were
engineer
here.
or whatever, but it's my understanding that where you are with your cell phone pings to the nearest tower, and that's where some of the issues come in.
I mean, like, if you dial 911 from my house, for example, it pings on a CL tower. Well, I know enough when I dial 911, this is I'm calling from Upper Township, boom, 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 and I get routed right to Ocean City. But that being said, it's somebody is going to die. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. And I will say, once the dispatcher in Belle Plaine figured out it goes to Ocean City, Upper Township Rescue Squad was dispatched, less than 4 minutes response time.
But
So,
it took a
our
long
rescue
time
squad
to-
did a phenomenal job.
So, I guess to put some closure to this, at least for the time being, that's something that we should definitely put on UTTV and also on the website to say, when using a cell phone and dialing 911, please identify that you're in Upper, or identify the town or
What's your physical
municipality.
addresses?
Your physical address, not your mailing address, your
Right.
physical address.
Right.
And that's, where everybody says my mailing address is 08230. Well, that's Ocean View, so that goes to Dennis Township. So, and that was,
Well, along 50, they have a Woodbine address, right?
Yes.
Zip code. Right.
and on Route 9 in Seville and Dennis Township, they have the same physical addresses. Corson Tavern Road, Seville has the same addresses as down in lower end by the church. 610's the same way. Tuckahoe Road's the same way. We need to address our zip codes.
So, to address it again, another resolution?
I think it needs,
File, we actually went all through the appeal process last time, where there was no further appeal. So I don't have it committed to memory, but I believe we would have to start local level again. I think one of the things we have to do probably initially is to reach out to whatever's gonna be the main post office, which last time I believe was no more. And I don't know if postmaster was the same or not, but we have.
I mean, I have to tell you, this sounds maybe a little exaggerated or whatever, but I'm not so sure we shouldn't contact the Homeland Security, and let them know the issues that we're having with,
911.
with 911 and zip code issues, because, this is probably a national issue, it's not just here.
No, it's,
We had.
Atlantic County has the same problem.
Involvement by Congressman Lubiano's office at the time, because we were so frustrated, and went through a series of different, of appeals. I don't remember the specifics, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the whole process.
I don't add anything to it, but, we can start that process again.
We need to get our,
Where it's gonna end up, but we can try it again.
we need to get our county freeholders on board. We need to get our state legislators on board. We can't go with this alone. It's a statewide problem. It's a countywide problem. And people are going to die.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Mike Jones, when you're addressing the issue of where you live, you should put it out as, I did an Upper Township Police Complaint section. First, is the Upper Township Seagull section. Stay in line with that dispatch that are all down. That's how they go about that.
I think before it's put on UTTV, I gotta believe Scott Morgan's gonna have some input on it.
Well, that was his recommendation the other day,
Yes.
exactly what Michael said. So, okay.
That's all I have at this time, Mr. Mayor.
I just have a few things. One, John and I joined the cemetery tour on Memorial Day, went and, worked with the VFW and the American Legion and the Boy Scouts, and also went to Osprey Point. So it's always, I think it's an honor to be able to do that and to show some patronage to our men and women that have given of the ultimate sacrifice on Memorial Day. So thanks for joining me, John. I also want to acknowledge that our own Ralph Cooper, who's in the audience, is the May 2017 Sustainability Hero. I guess it was given by Cape May County. Goes on to tell of the many things that Ralph has done. After retiring, he started our green team and worked with Paul, and he continues to participate in the Sustainable Jersey program. So congratulations to that. I do like your quote here, because I think I've experienced this. It says that his secret is to nudge and not shove. So I've had several phone calls from Ralph over the years, so I guess you stay true to your, so congratulations. We appreciate all that you're doing for the township. And finally, the best news of the evening is that we were granted from the Department of Transportation $158,000 to continue the reconstruction of Commonwealth Avenue that will be in front of the Deauville up to the bridge. That is township property versus part of the county project that's going on. So that is terrific news. I want to thank Paul, because I'm sure he had a lot to do with making the proper contacts. But as we continue to get these grants that will make the municipality better, it's a good thing, and we hope to continue to keep being able to do it. It is not a matching grant. It is just enough money to cover what we need to do that project, so.
Commonwealth Avenue from, it's heading to the north, essentially where it turns.
Where the bend is, heading towards the,
And not towards the bridge, but
But-
towards the state park, so go past.
Right.
See you.
so. Yeah, but the Commonwealth looks great. I mean, I like the way they lined it. I was over there over the weekend a bunch of times. It looks great. Yep. All right, Mr. Wan, let's go back to you and keep moving with the agenda.
Number one, authorizing the mayor to execute a temporary construction easement with the county of Cape May for portions of township road streets for the project known as Corson's Tavern Road resurfacing improvements.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Call the roll?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Abstain.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
When is that project scheduled to start, Paul?
It's it's in the design phase now, so, last time I talked to county engineer Dale Foster, I thought it was gonna go out to bid sometime this year. So maybe fall, spring of 2018. So I'm not exactly sure. But it's in the design phase now.
Number two, supporting the installation of flashing road safety lights and highway safety signs along Route 50 within mileposts 5.78 and 5.88, and authorizing a cost-sharing commitment for the project pursuant to DOT Policy 346.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Let's call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Resolution and certification with respect to the 2016 annual audit and in compliance with the local finance board of the state of New Jersey.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Do you want to comment on this at all?
Well, we had a good audit. There were, I think there was one comment and 0 findings, so.
Excellent.
It is,
Great job.
Very good.
it's good for the whole township. It's not just my office, but all
Just
the
trying to
departments.
pass the kudos on. I know you did a great job.
Thank you.
So, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number four, appointments to the Upper Township Green Team Advisory Committee.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Paul, you want to talk about this now or after?
I think now would be appropriate. This is our normal resolution, just appointing members of the green team. We've also included in this year's resolution, it's kind of like a summary of updates that we've done over the last year. And there are 3 actions that the green team would like to kind of pursue this year and try to get done even over the summertime. The one item was further look at the no smoking ordinance on township properties. I know we had discussed that previously about a year ago, and after I did some real fine tuning, I think it'd be appropriate really to relook at everything, because most of the no smoking is under our use of facilities, but it doesn't, really, it's really for when you're applying to use the facilities, and it doesn't really, I don't believe unless, I can assume with Danny, maybe he can tell me different.
My recollection is it's definitely in the recreation facility, so you're not allowed to smoke on any of those properties. The may not be a straight prohibition that they could cite somebody if they were smoking in the building. If that's what you're looking for, that may need to go into a police regulation. But the use of facilities, obviously, they're not allowed to smoke in our facilities. Somebody else-
But are you looking for fields, outdoor?
I think that all of our public open spaces,
So that would
Including
include
the
the
beach.
beach.
well, I don't know if that's where you want to use, but, you know,
I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but
I
I
think
think we're
it-
gonna get some
I honestly think it's going a little far.
pushback.
I mean, I can tell you, I went by the community center today, it was raining a little bit, somebody was standing out front of the community center smoking. I mean, is
I
it
mean, it's
appropriate? Probably not. Is it, do I have a problem with it? I don't really care. I mean, you're gonna have like, I can tell you right now, we just had some, Joanne's office said about, can't get poll workers. Well, nobody's gonna go to the polls and volunteer for a 14-hour day if they can't go outside and have a cigarette.
I'm just, it's up to your pleasure.
Well, I tell you what, why don't, I think it's worthwhile to at least look where, you know, we have playgrounds at Caldwell Park where, you know, some real activities are being done. I'm not necessarily opposed to the beach either, because I think it would make it a lot easier to maintain the beach and keep it cleaner. But I will tell you that there are a number of residents that, and it's a nasty habit, I don't mind anybody, but, I mean, there's a lot of the cigar smokers, you know, at the beach and stuff, so, you know, I don't know that that would be tough to enforce, I would think. But,
Enforcement on all of those facilities.
but, you know, when we have our sister community looking at no smoking on the boardwalk and that kind of stuff, and Wildwood's looking at it, you know, I don't want to be behind the 8 ball either, so.
Well, I mean, some of their rationale though is it's a safety hazard. I mean.
Well, 'cause it
can
starts
cause a fire.
fires.
Yeah.
What?
But I mean, if you have it on a beach and you're at Strathmere and you're the only guy sitting there on the beach smoking a cigar, I mean, it's
Well, you smoke cigars, so
occasionally.
That's why.
Occasionally, but I mean, it's like, you know, where do we draw the line? I mean, I can understand the inside of a building, I can understand it in stands with little kids but I mean, you're outside.
Even our coaching, our volunteer coaches and people that run it, they don't smoke around the kids, or
No.
don't have to smoke there, but
You
Exactly.
may not be aware of this, I just looked it up when we were talking. We actually prohibited smoking in the police ordinance, section of our ordinance, and you can be fined if it happens in a building, even if you're a member of the public. just
in
walk
a
around.
building.
In the building, sure.
Inside the building.
Outside, it's only on recreation areas.
So we already have recreation on
But
it?
what's considered a recreation?
Well, it's the township recreation. Now,
I would
I
say-
haven't gone to that section, I'll see if I can find.
I would say that's the
where beaches
fields,
are
that was
included.
the
I don't
playgrounds.
believe beaches are included because I think we left it out, but I'm not positive.
I mean, to make an ordinance like that, we can't even enforce, I mean,
And that's where some of the, I knew we had coverage for some, but, you know, I just wanted to really just bring that up to the committee because Green Team has been.
Well, the one thing I think we could do is post signs outside of our buildings to say that you have to be beyond 15 feet from the doorway. Because I think just walking outside is defeating the purpose.
And that's part of why I wanted to really sit with Dan and,
Yeah, you may need to,
you know, to see what we had to beef up the ordinance if we needed to post proper signs at those locations.
Who's the enforcing agent? State police?
Yes.
well, like any other thing, though, a citizen could sign a complaint, I guess.
yeah, I don't see it in the beach regulations.
Okay, so let's, you know, bring some ideas back to us. You know, let's not make a heralding statement that we're going to change things radically, but I do think that at a minimum, first thing we should do is put signs that say no smoking within 15 feet of the front doors of our public buildings.
And the other initiative that we'd like to look at is the release of balloons in the public. And it does seem.
It's bad for the turtles.
It's bad for turtles. it's
Bad for the seagulls.
And, you know, just generally. So here again, it's more of a, at least it's a symbolic, and we're taking, you know, that initiative to take that stand. So if you're okay with bringing back the necessary ordinance for that.
They actually have a lot of biodegradable balloons now, I believe.
Well, the Mylars are bad.
Bubbles, you can still blow bubbles though, right?
You can still vote.
Just making sure.
You can throw bird seed, there's nothing wrong with that.
The final initiative of the green team would be, I won't say the final, but of the three that we're trying to work on for now would be, looking at irrigation, controls for systems. And it's more, common sense things of, hey, when you install a new system, get a rain sensor gauge, because, I'm sure everybody's driven down the road today and saw at least one, yard being irrigated while it's raining out.
Actually, irrigation today, I believe that's covered under state plumbing code, I believe, or some state. And a new irrigation system, you should be certified to install. Not anybody can install, and a rain sensor is mandatory. But that being said, that doesn't mean that the homeowner leaves it there or it's working properly.
I have a rain sensor on my sprinkler system, and it really isn't that much money to invest in it.
So we thought, because those are common sense type things, we felt that would be something the committee would at least entertain and looking at doing this.
Well, as much as we'd like to try, we cannot legislate common sense.
All right, so we do have a motion on the table, I guess, to approve the members of the Green Team Advisory Committee. We have a first and a second. And we led into some discussion that went in some other direction. So let's take care of this appointment.
Got on a tangent.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Longo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yeah, so come back to us with that, with those ideas, and we'll talk more about it.
Okay, thank you.
Number 5, authorizing change order number 1 for the 2016 paving contract, resulting in an increase in the amount of $126,250.
What do those increases entail, Paul?
The first increase is for the asphalt price adjustment. That covers when the state legislature changed for the bidding for these types of projects where you have a certain amount of asphalt paving in a project, that because when a contractor bids a contract, obviously we can all understand that the price of asphalt oil is tied to the price of fuel, fluctuates during the year. So the contractors lobbied pretty decently with the state legislature to say, as once you bid the project, there's an established asphalt price index. Once you go and do the work, if there's a change in the asphalt price index, either up or down, you would either the contractor would receive additional monies because of the increased cost of asphalt oil, or there would be a credit back to the contractor for that. So that, because obviously when we bid the project earlier, the prices have adjusted, and we're seeing, our last project, we saw a very minor change in the asphalt price index when we did it back in 2013. However, this time there's been a little more volatility in the asphalt price index, and we had $10,000 in the base contract, and we're estimating we're going to need another $35,000 to cover that. The next two items are increases in asphalt paving. One is to cover some of the work at Caldwell Park, because we've got a little more than what I kind of estimated, doing a small amount when we first started the project. The other is some of the roads that we've reconstructed. We've had to go a little bit deeper to make sure we have a satisfactory base. And then there's also been some areas that in the past, there were some areas, let's say when we overlaid and has put a lip of asphalt between the edge of the pavement and the turf area. We've had smaller areas in the public works department has come back in and kind of put some topsoil down to grade that area back. But due to some of the work constraints of the public works department, it's going to be more budgetary conscious and more timely to have our contractor that we've hired to do that type of work. So that's where all those items out there.
So you're saying there's a statute that allows them to raise and lower it? Are you familiar with
I
that?
wasn't sure, I
Yes.
wasn't aware that Paul was using that. I thought it was just more material, but no, it's because of the fluctuation in price.
For the asphalt price index, and actually on on DOT and county project, they also have a fuel price index that not only, based on the asphalt price index, but also the fuel for other items beyond just paving, but there's about a half a dozen other items that the DOT actually adjusts based on the price index is adjusted. So it wasn't usually typically done on, I'll say, the local contracts, but I think it's been about 3 or 4 years now that the regulations have changed where we have to put this in the contract.
So it was written into our
So
spec.
you know,
Yes.
the asphalt price adjustment was $35,000.
Well, actually 45,000 because we've already paid the contractor 10,000, and based on the tonnage that we're going to be completing on the
Of
job.
your 103 that is showing up as 35,000, if you've already paid them, then
Correct. Well, that's just a change. That's for additional
change,
months.
right? It was, when you started, so since you started, it adjusted again, is what you're saying.
Correct. Yes.
So it's a portion of it, but
So this change order, the amount of change order is covered by what we originally had in the bond?
Yes.
and it's within your authority to grant it, and Paul's obviously telling you that in his reports, if you read the attachments, that it's appropriate, and sufficient if you bond it, or bid separately for it, you get a higher price, that it's more efficient and more expedient to do it now.
You're looking at, this would be 8.1% of the original contract price. And you're allowed under the statute to do up to 20% without, under normal.
So do they at least provide us with,
Excuse me?
do they at least provide us with the information that details the increase that they're
Yes.
passing on to us?
Yeah, for the asphalt price index, yes, they provide us a calculation with each invoice that shows what the asphalt price index was at the start of the project.
So it's based like on a yellow sheet or something that comes out
Yes.
monthly, okay.
Yes. Every month, the Asphalt Institute puts out what that month's asphalt price index is, and it's a published price, just like other indices that you'd have to go out.
Part of the statutory requirement for these change orders is that they provide that information, and also that Paul review it and do a report and make sure it's appropriate under the statute. All that has been submitted and all that is in compliance.
And the funds are certified.
How many of our streets have been done so far? How far are we in the project?
We're about 60%,
60%?
60% done.
And
So
this-
do we anticipate any more increases down the road? No pun intended.
Well, actually, oil prices are going down again.
I would anticipate a small minor adjustment, but nothing of this.
This change order will cover that for the remainder of the project.
There may be one additional change order at the final, as we measure up some of the concrete, concrete work and different other driveway items, there might be some additional items there, but this should be the lion's share, I'll say, of any adjustments that we need to do, yes.
Move the resolution.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 6, appointing additional 2017 season beach patrol personnel.
Motion to appoint?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes, and just to add to that, apparently we're having tryouts for lifeguard positions on June the 10th. So if anybody is interested in trying out, June the 10th at 9 a.m., I think it's 9:30 actually, at the lifeguard station on Williams Road in Strathmere.
Number 7, authorizing the purchase of recycling collection equipment and for the chief financial officer to withdraw funds in the amount of $31,790 from the account entitled Recycling Trust Account to pay for such purposes.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 8, authorizing a notice of violation and abatement of nuisance pursuant to Township Code Section 11-1.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 9, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 8, an ordinance vacating a portion of Walton Avenue within the township of Upper, county of Cape May, and state of New Jersey.
Before you address this, I want to point out that you were provided with a revised ordinance that has a full description of the vacated area. Almost on provided you provisions.
Make a motion to introduce the ordinance.
And what date would we have the final public hearing?
June 26th.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 10, Greater Tuckahoe Area Merchants Association requests to hold a raffle RA 478 at the Tuckahoe Beach on August 6, 2017 at 1 p.m.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. New Jersey Tar Heels requests to hold a Ward to Shore event at the Upper Township Community Center on June 24th and 25th.
Move the, motion to approve?
Second.
And we're getting all the certifications and stuff that's required?
We have everything.
Everything?
This is third year or fourth year, I think.
I think it's longer than that.
Has it been? It's a nice program they put together, so.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 12, under discussion, appraisal report for the sale of township-owned property, block 11, lot 4.04.
Dan?
This is a property where we authorized to move forward, the township committee authorized the township to move forward with a request to purchase this property. And the adjoining property owner that's made the request agreed to have an appraiser, the township's appraiser to pay for it. The township appraiser was put on for comparative appraisal, estimated value of $69,000. This is just for your reference, from the college reference, it's block 11, lot 4.04. At about the time that appraisal came in, there were submissions of other reports that indicated that the property may not be buildable and has other environmental issues. The assessor can confirm that. I'm not sure whether Paul has reviewed it thoroughly to confirm that opinion, but the question has come up as to whether or not the appraiser was aware of that. I did speak to the appraiser. While he said he looked at the soils map, he did not have access to the reports. My recommendation is that whatever information we have along those lines before the appraiser and ask him if he wants to revise his opinion. Frankly, the assessor thinks that the property is overvalued based upon the potential use of the property.
And you should note that while the township property does have wetlands on it, the environmental assessment report was not of our property, but a property across the street. So it's similar in nature, but the assessment is not of the township's property.
So how can an assessment of somebody other than the township's property make ours unbuildable?
Well, I don't know if,
How did the tax assessor come up with her opinion that I was under the understanding that she spoke to you and concluded that it was not residentially buildable, and that's the comps you used. The other issue involved here is that we're gonna put a restriction on it that it can't be developed. And that's, obviously hinders the value of the property if you're not gonna develop for residential uses. Now,
But today, he's offering to purchase it without a restriction.
well, he doesn't want the restriction, but he wants to use it for something else, and your policy in these type of matters has always been in the past not to create more residential building properties because of the tax, negative tax effect.
We wouldn't have an issue with expansive recreational use as far as,
But I think he wants to make it a sentence.
Cemetery.
well, it's attached to
He wants to expand
the
the
existing cemetery, and they have walking paths all through the woods.
It's actually technically not attached, they meet in that corner.
Right.
I don't know what his long-term goal require access to it. But my understanding is that's the purpose that he wants the property.
And this is a natural type cemetery, right? People scatter their ashes and stuff.
Type of cemetery that, and I'm not really familiar with it.
It's
not part of the
all
application.
natural.
Right, so,
No concrete vaults.
There isn't an email.
There's something
and people they don't use caskets either.
No, they use caskets.
Got to dig a hole and roll your head.
Pine box.
Blue
It's all
tar.
natural. One of the oldest
Old
cemeteries.
fashioned.
I want to be buried at sea. My ashes. So
Well,
what
I
do we
mean,
do
if the-
here? I mean, the appraisal's off. I mean, he's arguing the appraisal.
Didn't take into consideration those other factors we just reviewed. And frankly, if you use that appraisal for minimum bid, I'm not sure it's gonna go forward. If you're gonna use it as your minimum bid, you have the right to do that and say that's what, this appraisal said it was worth, and that's gonna be our minimum bid. He's objected to that, saying he didn't take into these other considerations, these other factors. And my understanding is, in conversations with our assessor, I thought she spoke to them all about it and concurred that the appraiser does not address certain factors that he address. My recommendation was then send them the specific requests and ask them if it's appropriate to address them in a supplemental.
Do you need that in the form of a motion?
It's up to you.
If that was if we agree with that,
If you agree with that recommendation, yes. Otherwise, then it's the minimum bid, you go back to the,
I would like to make a motion that we follow our legal counsel's advice and send the appraiser the other information and see what happens.
Second.
So just one other question. So is the thought that the appraisal came in as high as it did because, I mean, is that going to be considered more like a commercial property or something? Is
no,
that?
it was, I believe he assessed it at, or valued it as residential, if I'm not mistaken, as a buildable lot. That's why it's 59.
I mean, because it's a relatively high assessment for, the township-owned properties that we normally would
Not if
combine or deed restrict moving forward.
Not if it's buildable, it's in,
I mean, it's potentially, I mean, it's gonna take, it would take a lot of environmental studies to
Well, it looks like they did a lot of,
do it, but you'd have to do a similar assessment report like that on this, which would probably cost you in the range of $20,000 to try to.
which ultimately would drive the cost down on the appraisal of the property as well, so.
well, it's not gonna hurt to have the appraiser look
No,
at it.
I would agree. I mean, we're at this point in the process, it would make sense to move at least forward to see if there's reconsideration, and then we can move from there. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
No.
So we have a first and we have a second. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Fortson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Dr. Longo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Fortson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Dr. Longo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
There are a number of reports from our municipal departments, Animal Control, Clerk's Office, Division of EMS, Finance Office, Municipal Court, Department of Public Works. All of those reports will be available upon request tomorrow at the Clerk's Office, but I'll make a motion to accept these reports.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Fortson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Dr. Longo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So at this time, we've reached the public comment portion of the meeting, and if anyone would like to address the Township Committee, now's the time to do so. Please go to the podium, state your name, your address, and your reason for addressing the Township Committee.
Natalie Neese, 759 Route 50, Petersburg. I wanted to know what number 8 under resolutions is about.
Yep.
It's overgrowth, obnoxious growth on properties, primarily sometimes they're foreclosure properties before giving notices of their lawn.
So is this one for a particular property?
There's a list of properties on that resolution.
Okay, thank you. I own Block 476, Lot 29, and my adjoining neighbor cut down threatened species habitat. He put in for a Cape May County application for a commercial farm on a residentially zoned property. He built or he constructed a 44 by 48 foot pole barn, and he's using the pole barn without a certificate of occupancy. And Shelley Lee gave him a zoning permit to do all this, and I'd like to know what y'all have to say about it.
When was that zoning permit issued, Natalie?
When was the zoning permit issued?
Are we talking about something that happened recently or years ago?
No, I'm talking about, it was July of 2016.
Within the last 6
Is this the property that is your neighbor? Is this the one that we talked about recently, about 3 weeks ago on the phone? The one you wanted an easement over? Is this the property we're talking about?
Yes.
I-
Natalie, if that's the case, I don't know. I don't know by lot and block.
The-
Because I don't want to talk about something that is not accurate.
Okay, the zoning permit was in July of 2016.
But is that the property we're talking about? The neighbor that alleged he says he has a farm, and you say it's not a farm. Is this the one that we're talking about?
I'm saying that it's, from my looking at the Upper Township map, it's Upper Township zone residential.
But I want to make sure I have the right property. Is that what we're talking about?
He's asking you, are you asking?
I don't know if I talked to you 3 weeks ago. I think I talked to you back in February, so.
No, it was about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4, when you had told me that you were concerned about Shelley Lee's not declaring it a violation because you felt it wasn't a farm and the applicant feels it's a farm. If that's the one.
No, he took out a permit, a demolition permit. He took down, it's block 476-19,
I can't identify by lot.
100 Dennisville, Petersburg Road. What?
It's
and I was-
very easy to answer the question for him.
Do
I
you-
mean, is it your neighbor?
Yes, it's my
Well,
adjoining neighbor.
that's what he's asking.
And this is an ongoing problem that you have had with the zoning office where you feel it's not a farm and they are investigating whether or not he's a pre-existing allowed use as a farm. Is that correct?
You're putting a lot of words out there that, like, all I know is that he cut down trees that are considered under the DEP, New Jersey, threatened habitat.
With Shelley Lee about this property.
Have I,
In the last month, have you had a series of discussions with Shelley Lee, our zoning?
not a series. I've been in numerous times to find her, and she's never here.
Okay.
I think one time out of.
It is the same property. Paul, do you understand from what she said it's the same property?
Yes.
I don't know the owner's name. I believe Mr. Corson has a conflict, so he can't participate in this discussion. Is that correct?
Bill Zimmerman, who owns the property, I believe.
Is it Zimmerman property?
Yes.
So he has,
I-
record reflect he has a, do you
Do
have
it-
a conflict? I thought you
He's
told me you might.
he's a friend of mine, and I've sold him product before for his
All
farm
right,
animals.
so I just want to write the record reflect he has a conflict. And I wanted to identify the property. The township committee can't get involved in terms of her determination. Same thing I said to you, I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, but you called my office and I told you exactly the same thing I'm telling you tonight. They can't get involved in her zoning interpretations of whether something's permitted or not permitted. I know that there is a question as to whether or not it's what's called a pre-existing, permitted, non-conforming use. In other words, if I had a farm 20 years ago and changed to residential in that time period, I don't lose the right to operate a farm. The question becomes, was that property, because apparently it was in the state, did they ever abandon that use? She has to investigate that. She's doing that now, as far as I
That property used to belong to the township.
I'm not getting into the details of what's going on or what happened. It's not this township committee's right. It's the same thing I said to you.
Okay, but so.
They have no right to get into a zoning determination. You can't complain about whether or not she made a good determination or a bad determination. You and I have had this discussion at least a half a dozen times, where I have told you that your right to appeal her decision is to the zoning board if you don't like what she says.
I think you're wrong. I think it's very clear that it has to go to the Superior Court.
You have the right to go take it to Superior Court directly if you want, but the first level of appeal is to, in an ordinary course, is to the zoning board of adjustment if you do not agree with the zoning officer's decision. And my understanding is she hasn't rendered that decision yet. So you're here for something that's under investigation with this zoning officer. I told you weeks ago that this would happen if you came into the township committee and complained about this, that this is what we were going to be told. So it's really, I don't know what you're asking for that could possibly be given by this committee to you.
I guess I'm asking the committee if they know that the man cut down a lot of trees. Obviously, if Mr. Corson is friends with him, he knows that there's a lot of trees that have been cut down, and,
I cut down trees every day.
well, a lot of trees that are considered,
He can't talk to you about this because
He's recused, first of all. He shouldn't be talking at all.
okay. Well, does anybody else on that board know about the threatened species habitat?
I was out on the property and I inspected for the issue of clearing, whether it's a farm or whether it's a residential property. And the clearing that was done was done in conformance with the township ordinances. It has maintained the requisite buffers, and there is some area that might have been beyond the buffer. We're waiting for some additional documentation from the Rutgers extension that it was required to be removed because out by Dennisville Petersburg Road, there was some area that needed to be cleared that might have been cleared into the buffer area, but needed to be done because it needs to remove some invasive species, which, as you know, the town, you adopted an ordinance regarding invasive species, and he has a very bad infestation of red knot that, he's trying to control, and he's been in contact with the Rutgers Extension Service on how to control and remove it, and so that most of the clearing he's done, even though it is in accordance with the township ordinance and rules for tree preservation and tree buffering, is being done in accordance with the recommendations of the Rutgers Extension Service to remove an invasive species, which is required under our ordinance to do.
has the zoning officer made a determination on the continuation of pre-existing non-conforming use?
No, she has received information from Mr. Zimmerman, from the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, and some other correspondence.
We don't need to get into
But
detail.
she's still
Bottom line, it's under investigation and it's being reviewed. So your complaint is being reviewed and it's under investigation. Township committee, as we said many times before, when you come in and complain about the zoning officer, other than an employment-related decision, which that I don't believe is what you're complaining about. You're complaining about the fact that she hasn't given you an opinion that you agree with. That this body is not who you file that appeal with. You go to either the zoning board or the Superior Court.
Well, I have a copy of a letter that Dean Marcolongo, the planning and zoning solicitor, wrote, and he said that this property needed to go before the township zoning board.
What's the date on the letter?
May 11th, 2017.
I'm not aware of it. If she made a determination that it has to go to the zoning board, it has to go to the zoning board. And Paul wasn't aware of it either.
It's still being reviewed, as Dan said, Shelley's still reviewing pertinent information from the applicant and others.
Bottom line, township committee can't address an ongoing zoning office investigation. They can't, they can go on.
Okay, well, he constructed a 44 by 48 pole barn in a residential zone that's not even a permitted use under Schedule A. And Ed Kenny did not give him a certificate of occupancy, and he's got it full of animals. And there's no existing house even on the property, so it couldn't even be considered an accessory use. And now that he had everything to say, does anybody on that board have anything to say?
Well,
We rely on our
This is the
attorney
proper venue.
to counsel us.
It's not the proper venue for us to receive your complaint.
You know, I mean, we certainly are not in a position to question the counsel that our attorney gives us. And if our attorney is opined that it needs to go to the zoning office, then, you know, we'll follow his guidance.
So it's okay with you then that,
No one's saying it's okay with anything. All we're saying is that this is not the channel to be addressing it at this point.
but he's saying
And
that-
we could potentially make a statement that could have some, you know, variable issue, you know, could change the outcome. So we're not in a position to do that at this point, based on our council's recommendations.
So it's not your council's consideration then that the township should be dealing with this issue instead of me, the
I thought
neighbor,
Mr. Young
who's
made it very
impacted by
clear.
all of it.
The township is dealing with it through the zoning officer, and at least 2 or 3 times tonight, you've been advised that the zoning officer hasn't made a final determination. If you're unhappy with the determination of the zoning officer, or if the determination of the zoning officer is that there's a violation, then there are options in terms of citing him, or municipal court, or injunctive relief, but that hasn't even happened yet. The zoning officer hasn't made a determination. They can't, as a political body and governing body of the township, go in and tell the zoning officer how to rule. Which I believe that's what you're upset about, you
Well-
want them to tell her what to do.
What about the construction official? How can he allow this to go on without a certificate of occupancy? I mean, he didn't let me in my house without a certificate
I
of
know nothing
occupancy.
about the facts of the situation. This is the first I've heard that there's that.
That appeal will go to the Department of Community Affairs. If you feel that he's not doing his job in regulating it, you should first talk to him, or you can talk with the Department of Community Affairs that oversees the construction.
Was there a building built on the property without a construction permit? Is that what happened?
I think what she's saying is they received the zoning permit, they received the construction permit, he's utilizing it before it has been issued a certificate of occupancy.
And again, it's a,
So that should at least be reported to Mr. Kenny.
Yes, it hasn't already.
Right.
it's already been reported to Mr. Kenny.
Well, this
And
is
he said
coming,
he doesn't
this
talk
is
to me
coming
and he
from
doesn't
me
talk
to
to you.
tell Mr. Kenny that he needs to take a look at it, okay?
He already did take a look at it.
Well,
And I know that there's papers that have been signed by Mr. Zimmerman, and I don't understand why further action hasn't been taken, because this has been going on for months that I know of. And you say it's under investigation.
The zoning question, I was not referring to anything about a building permit or a certificate of occupancy for a building. I know nothing about that issue. I haven't been involved in it, I don't know. All I know is you had a zoning question as to whether it was a permitted use and whether it was a farm or not. That's what I know.
And what about the trees, all the trees that were cut down?
Well, I think Paul just said
sounds like
that
that
he's been
was
working
the
with the
law.
Department of Agriculture to get rid of an invasive species that's harming the trees, not just on his property, but it could spread to other trees throughout the township. And I think that's why they're allowing him to tear some of the trees down, or cut them down.
And what did you call that species?
Red knot or
Red
something?
knot.
Red knot? Does the township have recent aerials on the property?
Natalie, the township committee would never be able to answer that question. They don't work in the zoning office, they don't work in the construction office.
Well, does Paul Dietrich have them then?
Request if you want to at the clerk's office for aerial photographs if we have them.
The county website also has aerial photography from the whole county from 1935 to current. You go to the county website.
That's what the township utilizes.
You're recused, but.
Oh, yeah, but
Let me
I'm
remind
I'm
you
not
again,
having this.
you're
I'm
not allowed to
talking
say
about
anything.
this application. I'm giving you information where you can find website pictures.
Well, just do me a favor and not say anything, please.
The township does not have aerial photographies, we utilize the county's, electronic system for aerial photography. So
had any she asked if the township had area for photography of it. If we do, yes, we don't, we don't. It's as simple as that.
Anything else?
I guess I kind of wanted to know if there's anybody on that board that has any concern about the trees on that property, if you have any education.
I thought that Mr. Dietrich answered the question sufficiently in that, you know, there is an invasive species on the property, and cutting the trees down is one way of preventing the spread, not just to that property, but to your own property and the properties that surround the area, and potentially many other properties in the township.
Weren't you in here about a year ago saying that you wanted the neighbor on the other side to cut down his trees? Because they were close to your
No, I was
fence?
talking about one tree that my neighbor had that was overhanging my house, and yes,
But I think Mr. Dietrich answered the question.
well, I was
With a
talking
lot of-
about the trees as, threatened species habitat for the barred owl, not for red knot.
Well, I get it, except for that the barn owl won't have any environment to live in if the red knot spreads the trees throughout the township and there's no trees left. I know that seems an exaggeration, but the reality is it's no different than us paying to spray for gypsy moss that destroy trees. You know, we're committed to doing that, and this is another type of invasive species. I mean, we've heard the pine beetle, and there's a lot of things out there that are causing problems to deforestation, so you have to rely on the experts. I'm not an entomologist, or I'm not somebody that's an expert in botany or whatever, but I'd certainly rely on the people that are. I can tell you about medications, but that's my specialty, being, you know, a pharmacist,
It's
so.
kind of like a bamboo. It's in the grass valley.
I'm
Alright.
curious who the licensed surveyor was that did his survey, because I never even saw a survey.
But-
I saw a septic design, but not a survey.
That is information that I don't know that any of us can supply you at this point. I think that's an over request.
But Mr. Dietrich said he was out there and went over it, and they were looking at the buffer for the trees, and maybe it went into the buffer and whatnot.
He identified where his property corners were, just as I can go on my property, I'm not a surveyor, but I know where my property corners are that were set by a surveyor, I can still identify the location of property corners. Mr. Zimmerman could identify the location of his property corners, and was able to establish the issues that I discussed with the committee regarding his landscape law.
So then you'll agree that he doesn't have a licensed surveyor.
No, I didn't say that.
Natalie, I think you're, listen, I'm not trying to be rude here, and I've
I
allowed
put
a
it
lot of,
over.
listen,
I
I've
put it
allowed a
over.
lot of
I'm
latitude
unable
here,
to
but you're
ask
asking the same questions over and over again, and you're trying to get answers that will satisfy you, and I think Dan has counseled you from the very beginning that these are not answers that this committee or even Mr. Dietrich at this point should be answering. This should be done through a formal over request, and it should be done through the zoning office if you have issues with that.
I have put
You're-
in over
you're
requests, and I've
trying
been asked to sign extra
continue
days,
to-
and the
to
stuff
get
is not
answers or
forthcoming.
Get the answer that you're looking for, and that's not gonna happen tonight. I don't think Mr. Young's gonna allow us to even come close to answering that, so.
I can't say it any more times than I've already said it. When you ask for, does the township have a survey, does the township have area close, there's no way sitting here at this meeting that township committee can answer that question. They can't. It may be in a township file, so you either go to that office and see if they have it, make an open request. That's all you can do. If they have a survey, you can make an open request and they can give it to you. If they don't have a survey, they don't have one. But to ask, it's somewhat inane to ask the township committee whether or not one of the thousands of files they have in their administrative offices contains something.
Well, clearly, the zoning application says it will not be reviewed without a survey. But in this case, it was reviewed and granted without a survey, a licensed surveyor. And there's no as-built on the 44 by 48 pole barn that's not even permitted on Schedule A in a residential zone. center residential zone.
I
I
would
think the whole
suggest-
thing is out of order, and it's impacting on me.
I would suggest again that if you have an issue with either the construction code enforcement, you direct it to them, or the zoning office, you direct it to the zoning officer. If you do not like the decisions or the answers that you get, you have the right to
All right.
I have a right to what?
appeal those decisions. You can take them further if you don't like them. Your administrative, Mr. Kenny makes a decision. You ask him to make a decision, he makes a decision, you can take his decision to the zoning board. Just as Shelley Lee's, if you don't like it. That's the way the mechanism is set up, that's the law, that's the statute. This township committee is not the appeal body to a decision from the construction code office or the zoning office. The appeal is the zoning board. You're in front of the wrong board. And we've told that to you repeatedly every time you come in with a problem with a neighbor.
Is there anybody in this room that's on the zoning board?
No. That's why it's a
Okay.
problem.
Again, I don't think it's an option. I think it's required that I take it to the Superior Court.
Well, that's your option, but Natalie, we're going around in circles here. And, you know, in the interest of allowing some other individuals that may want to address the township committee, unless you have any other issues that you'd like to address the township committee on, I'm going to have to ask you to, you know, let someone else have their due time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Carol Jones. I live at 247 Marshallville Road, and I'm a member of Surfrider Foundation, the South Jersey chapter. I'm very happy that you're considering an ordinance to prohibit the intentional release of balloons in Upper Township. They're very harmful to sea life, as you already know. I was on a ocean crossing one time in a sailboat, and 1,000 miles from any shore, I saw a sea turtle eating a balloon that had been floating on the surface. He thought it was
Jellyfish?
a jellyfish. And what happens is the sea animals eat the balloons. They think that they're sea life. Then the balloon material clogs up their digestive system, and they're unable to eat the food that they should be eating, and eventually they die of starvation. We've also seen seabirds wrapped up in the strings that are attached to balloons. A lot of localities near here have passed ordinances prohibiting the intentional release of balloons, and I hope Upper Township will too. We're not asking you to prohibit the sale of balloons or a kid walking down the street with a balloon. We're talking about organized balloon releases. Those balloons end up in the ocean and cause a lot of harm, and I know that you are concerned about the life of the creatures in the ocean. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I assure you, I think it'll be more than a consideration. I agree with you. Anyone else?
Ted Kingston, Strathmere. Earlier in the meeting, you had talked about the boat ramp and putting stone down as, you know, like a paving surface. I guess my concern is, you know, every storm we have, that covers with water. And, you know, in a bad storm, there's a lot of wave action there. And I would think that that stone's all gonna end up in the marsh and just kind of do damage to the marsh. I don't have a better solution unless maybe you could put down clamshells or something. I mean, I know paving it would be expensive, but the concern is that, you know, them stones are just gonna get washed out of there.
It was gravel now, so it was just improving the surface.
Yeah, but do we have access to oyster shells or something, those white,
Yeah, clamshells.
Yeah, like clamshells.
or conch shells or whatever?
My only problem with that is we're gonna have another change order in this job, and the cost, and how many more years is this gonna tack onto the project?
Yeah, it can't be that much different than stone.
No, I think clamshells are just as readily available as
So-
the trap rock.
Actually, I think that's a valid point. If I mean,
That's the
there's
seashore
no, there's no sense in you know, we're trying to make it we're trying to be environmentally conscious in building it without having a bulkhead. It would make sense to use oyster or whatever shells are available.
I've been talking to the contractors, see if we can get clam shells out there instead of crushed stone.
But no delay in time.
Well, you can put, actually, if you're going to do it, we can do that in the rain, because they actually will smell better in the rain than July heat.
You can buy them washed now, so they don't smell bad anyway.
All right, so that is going to be included in your week update report to us, please.
Good reason.
Anyone else like to address the Township Committee? All right, well, thank you for contributing, for those that came forth before the Township Committee. We appreciate your attendance, and I'm going to turn it over for a motion by Mr. Coggins to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters are personnel, litigation, Holt versus Upper Township Zoning Board of Adjustment et al. Potential litigation, Cedar Villas Incorporated. Potential litigations regarding zoning violations and contract negotiations with animal control. I also included in my motion the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be discussed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality. With respect to litigation matters, such discussions will be made public when litigation is complete and the applicable appeal period has expired.
Second.
Let's call the roll.
Mr. Marr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I would ask all of you to drive home safely this evening, and have a great week.